Welcome back to the Save the Good Girl podcast. I am your host, Erica E., and I want to thank you and congratulate you for being here today as we go into part 2 of the grief series. Every step you are taking towards your healing needs to be acknowledged. So, congratulations and thank you. In part 2, we are having a seat with depression. I know. Nobody wants to have a seat with depression. Nobody wants to sit at that table. But when going through grief, whether it is a death of a loved one, whether it is losing your job, whether it is losing your pet, whether it is losing your romantic partner through divorce or a breakup, anything and that is dealing with loss, it's almost as if for me, depression is like a package when it comes to grief because something that was so familiar to you is no longer anymore. So, how do you deal with that? In this episode, we're going to discuss what is depression, what are the symptoms, because many people don't know that they carry these symptoms. Also, how did I discover I was depressed? And what did I do about it? And then also, how do we get up from the seat? How do we get up from here? Because we don't want to stay here. We want to be able to really live life. And being severely depressed it makes that very difficult. So in this episode, we're going to dive deeper into that. If you haven't already, please listen to part 1, where we talked about how grief is the hidden epidemic. And in this episode, we are going to go a little deeper into the feelings, how do we place them, and more importantly, how do we rise up from the seat? Because we're just having a seat just for a little bit, but we are not going to stay there. So let's get into this episode. So, when I decided to start with grief and create the grief series, the next challenge that I had was, what am I going to title these 4 episodes? And out of all the episodes I've done, recording these episodes and finding out the title and trying to figure out how am I going to construct these episodes has been the most challenging because it's so sensitive and it's so personal to me. And there was one day where I was sitting in my chair in my room. I have a chair in my room, and that's where I read my devotionals, I read books, I listen to voice notes, I pray. And that day, I was praying. And my prayers were really short because I just felt very overwhelmed. You know, when you just feel like there's so much on your mind, like it goes from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. It was truly a domino effect. And I was really sad to the point of tears. So I was crying and I let myself sit there. I let myself sit there. After I was done crying, I decided to pray again, but this time the prayer was more detailed. I was actually involved in the prayer and telling God, like, I need help with this, and I don't know, I feel weird about this, and please give me direction in this, and I don't know why I feel this way, and what's happening with my life, what's going on, I don't know, and there's so many changes, and I trust you because, if it's not for me, it's not for me, but like, I'm just going through it. But what really got to me was I made a decision to get up and make my bed and put some perfume on, go outside, get some air, get some coffee. I spoke to a friend and I felt better. So I decided to call this episode A Seat with Depression because I allowed myself to acknowledge, number one, that I'm not in a good space. I allowed myself to be present in that moment and just kind of sit with it and not try to escape. Usually, when there's a problem, we all escape. So, whether it's with a TV show, music, food, just going outside, going out for drinks, doing something else than dealing with the issue, whatever that could be, cleaning, right? Going to the gym, which is these are good things. Some things are not the best, some things are really good. These are good things, but however, you're still escaping because after you come from the gym, after you come from hanging out with your friends, after you're done making your bed, you still have this problem. So I decided to call it A Seat with Depression because that's exactly what it was for me. It was a seat. It was a seat. And the thing about taking a seat is that you do have the opportunity to get up. So I was inspired by that moment, even though it was very hard for me. I was inspired by that moment when I was sitting to actually get back up and get productive. And that's why I wanted to call this episode A Seat with Depression. Depression was something I never wanted to speak over my life. I had no idea that I was depressed. I was actually very resistant to the fact I was depressed because I felt like I'm grieving. How else do you expect me to be? Do you think I'm going to be here walking around smiling and being happy all the time? I'm not. I'm extremely sad. This loss is very big for me, very paramount, and the hardest thing I ever dealt with in my life. How do you expect me to really be? Of course, I'm going to be sad. Of course. But when it starts to extend and it goes into other areas and you start to notice certain things within yourself and you're like, whoa, this is a little different. I did not know who I was anymore. I was a stranger to me. I had no access to Erica. You know when you like have an issue with your computer, you got to change your password or something like that. And let's say you go to IT or you call the provider to give you access cuz you're completely locked out and you don't know what to do until IT comes and says, "Hey, I was able to get you in, just create a new password and you're good to go." I felt like I had no access to me. None whatsoever. Because depression was taking a seat, but I didn't know that I had to sit with it. I was just minding my business and I felt like it was dragging me in. And I'm like, what's going on? Anybody asked to sit at this table? Mm-mm. But it was something that was like, no, you're going to sit here because you're feeling these emotions, you know? According to the American Psychiatric Association, depression is a common and serious medical illness that negatively affects how you feel, the way you think, and how you act. Depression causes feelings of sadness and or loss of interest in activities you once enjoyed. It can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems and decrease your ability to function at work or at home. Now, reading this now and going through what I've been through already, I definitely was depressed. For sure. Because this whole definition was me. Grief and depression can definitely coexist because the loss can lead to depression or you can have depressive moments. In grief, sometimes the feelings comes in waves when you think about your loved one, right? So sometimes you might think about the good times and you're smiling and then when you realize that it's not there anymore, it makes you sad naturally, right? So there are some symptoms of depression. And I think this is really important because, again, I was going through a lot of these symptoms and I just refused to believe I was depressed. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm sad. And yeah, I feel hopeless. And yeah, my self esteem is low and I'm crying and I have no motivation. But I'm not depressed. I'm just, going through grief, which is fair because I was, right? But here are the symptoms of depression: low mood or sadness, feeling hopeless, low self esteem, tearful, no motivation or interest, changes in appetite, changes in your physical appearance, unexplained aches and pains. Oh my God, that was me. Disturbed sleep, finding it difficult to make decisions, feeling anxious, change in physical appearance, avoiding contact with friends, losing interest in everything that you once loved, neglecting yourself emotionally, physically, financially. That was me. During the initial stages of my grief, I had so much pain in my body. I genuinely thought and sincerely thought something was wrong with me. I went to the doctor a few times. We did a couple of tests. She said, "Erica, you are fine." I said, "No, no, no. I've never felt this pain before. I've never felt this weak before. I've never felt this inability for me to move before. Why is it that when I get up, my thigh hurts and like aches and pains as if I was just running a marathon? And my doctor said, I believe this is emotional. There's nothing wrong with you physically. We've done all the tests, just to make sure, but you're healthy. So I left her office and I'm just like, I might have to go see another doctor because there's something wrong with my body. I was so convinced. And then I started really thinking about my attitude. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. When the grief first happened, I was on autopilot because there is grief and then you have to go straight to business, which was difficult for me because I didn't have the opportunity to process much. It was my father passed away. We have to plan, where he's going to get buried, how he's going to get buried, um who's going to say the eulogy, planning all of this stuff, talking to all of these people, talking to the doctors, talking to this, talking to that, handling affairs afterwards, trying to get into his phone, saving picture, like just it was just so much stuff we had to do. So during that initial process of grief, I didn't have the time to process. In my family, I'm the oldest. I'm the one that makes a lot of decisions. I'm the strategic one. So a lot of things that were going on had to go through me. My biggest concern was my family. I have a sister, I have a brother, my mother, that was the nuclear family, and my father. My father and I would make a lot of decisions together, and now he's not here. And my grief counselor at the time said, you are the one to make these decisions. And I'm like, I don't want to do it. And he said, but you have to. Your dad is not here anymore. And hearing that was very difficult for me. I did not want to deal with that. I didn't want to hear it. So here I am navigating the fact that I'm on autopilot. I'm still functioning. I feel fake. I'm going through imposter syndrome because the world didn't stop, right? The world doesn't stop because you're sad. The world doesn't stop because you're grieving. In your world, it's huge. But when I went to Starbucks or just functioning, trying to function in the world, I felt fake. People are telling me good morning and I was upset about that. Good morning? I couldn't deal with that. The fact that I could not talk to my friends because congratulations was a very, very, very big trigger word for me. Congratulations usually is happiness. And in my grieving stages, I couldn't say that. So, yet, no, I couldn't talk to anybody. I didn't want to because number one, I felt like I was really, really sad. I was really, really down. And also, I didn't want to bring that into my friends. One thing I will tell you that was very consistent with me during the grieving time was getting help and support from the beginning. I never stopped going to therapy. And I actually had my family, including myself, 3 weeks after my father's burial, we did grief counseling every single week. I, even in the midst of my sadness, I was dedicated to finding inspiration because I couldn't create it myself. I couldn't create a world of possibility. I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. The tunnel was blocked off and black for me. Getting that support, and we'll definitely dive into that a little deeper, but getting that support during that time was really helpful. Even with going to therapy, I remember there was a time where my therapist was like, you really are depressed. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just going through regular emotions. And she went through the symptoms and she said, you do check off a lot of these boxes. And I'm like, no, because I was still functioning. But there was one time where I did not shower for 4 days. On the fourth day, I said, whoa. Because in addition to me not smelling right, I'm like, when was the last time that I showered? And then in therapy, she said, when was the last time you ate food? And I was thinking to myself, okay, so I ate something on Sunday. I had Sunday dinner. Today is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I saw her Thursday. and I said Sunday. Me saying it out loud was like, wow, you did not eat for 4 days. You did not take a shower for 4 days. I was surviving on water, coffee, and like granola bars, but didn't have food. Some days I didn't have food because what was happening was the coffee was enabling me to be on autopilot. And every night I was crying myself to sleep. So therefore, no room to eat. And it was very, very difficult for me to accept it. But that's when I accepted it because I started to realize, oh my gosh, I'm not interested in taking a shower. I'm not wearing perfume. I'm not fashionable. I don't want to talk to any of my friends. I'm in isolation mode. I don't care about how I look. My finances were a mess. I'm emotionally a mess. I'm physically a mess. I have no interest in traveling. All the things that I used to like, when people would mention it, it didn't do anything for me. My self esteem was down because my father, when they say your father is the father is a girl's first true love, he was. I loved my dad, and he always encouraged me and told me I was beautiful. And the man who helped me see my beauty is not there. So my self esteem was gone. I didn't have that. I was not sleeping well. I was not sleeping well at all. I couldn't sleep. I could not sleep. I was sleeping for 2, 3 hours at a time. The pain in my body was crazy. The pain in my body was crazy. So now here I am in a whirlwind of pain. Here I am in the whirlwind of, wow, I need to accept that I am depressed. Once I accepted it, I felt like I got into a deeper depression because it's like I didn't know. Even though I was experiencing all of these things, I didn't know because every day I'm just kind of like going through the day, going through the motions. And once I acknowledged it, it's like it was deeper, but then like, what can I do? Right. And I found solitude in therapy and my grief counselor. I always say like they are part of saving my life as well because I didn't really have a full outlet. And that's because, my family is going through it too. So I can't really talk to them about it like that. They're also grieving. With my friends, although they were there for me and I could talk to them and it's not a problem, I didn't want to bring this to them every single day because I didn't have any updates, nor did I want to hear their updates because I didn't want to hear congratulations. So I feel like I was a double edged sword when it comes to friends and family. I couldn't journal. I wasn't looking pretty. I didn't want to see anybody. So therapy was where I felt safe. It's where I felt seen. And in that moment, I said to myself, okay, I need to do something. And my grief counselor, he advised me on something. And I felt like this was such a break within me. It did something really, really big for me. And we're going to get into that shortly. I received so much love and support from my friends and my family. I can't thank them enough. In continuing the grief series, we are definitely going to spend more time talking about that. What was happening was my friends and family would invite me to go out, like, oh, you want to meet up for dinner, meet up for drinks? And I'm like, no. So my therapist was like, listen, I think you should try your best to go out. And my cousin actually invited me out. And it was a big struggle for me to meet with her, a huge struggle. I cried in the morning. I was anxious because another thing about depression, it gives you anxiety. And I had survivor's remorse. I'm like, how can I go out to eat when my father's not here? Like, that's weird. Like, and I had to source those thoughts. And this is why I'm so grateful for therapy because she was like, this is something that is normal with having survivor's remorse. Because I really did feel that way. Like, how could I be smiling right now? You know what I mean? It just didn't make sense to me at the time. So she was like, I think you should go out with your cousin. So I go out with my cousin, and it was actually a good time. I still was wearing black. I was, I'm really into fashion and perfume, big earrings. Like I have a very big personality, okay? And it was all diminished, right? So I was like, I gave a lot of prerequisites for hanging out with me. I'm like, listen, don't expect the Erica you used to know right now, okay? Because she's not here, right? So I went out with her and she was like, "Wow, I'm so inspired by how strong you are. You're doing great." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Did you know 2 weeks ago I didn't shower for 4 days and I didn't eat and I didn't do this and my body hurts and I'm sad and I'm crying every night?" And she's like, "Yeah, but you're doing great because you're still here, you're still taking care of things." And I'm like, "Wow." But what I will say is it was a struggle. It was a struggle for me to get the house, but I did. That was like one of the first steps. And then my cousin said to me that she's getting married. And I'm like, yeah, that's a no, right? My immediate response is I can't go to the wedding. This is her big moment. What if I'm like upset or sad or going through all of these things and I can't go through all of that? So my initial response was no, I'm not going to the wedding. I spoke to my grief counselor and he said, you need to go to this wedding. Even if I have to talk to you every day, you need to go to this wedding. It's going to reignite so many things for you. And my biggest concern wasn't even about me. My concern was she's happy. This is a very important day for her. I'm happy for her, but I didn't know at the time if I was going to be emotionally in a space where I could smile. I was scared. So when she asked me, like, I would love for you to be there, but she was very understanding. I would love for you to be there, but I understand. But I would love for you to be there, but I understand. And I wanted to go, right? So everything within me is like, go, right? You're gonna have a great time as family. And I was honored to be there for her, you know. But the grief in me was like, no, no, no. Depression was like, no, no, we're not going. Okay. We're going to stay wearing black. We're going to have takeout and we're going to be home and we're going to be in the room and we're going to cry ourselves to sleep like we've been doing for the past couple of months. We are not going to any weddings or any events whatsoever. That was depression. And he said to me, how about we do this? Let's not tell her no. Let's say yes. I was like, what? Yeah, let's say yes. I said, I'm going to say yes with the idea of I could cancel. And he said, okay, if that's going to make you feel better, then do that. So I said yes. And I said, listen, I want to go to your wedding, but I don't know where I'm going to be emotionally at that time. So yes, but I don't know. So she had her wedding away. I had to call, make the reservations at the hotel. I even called the hotel and like quadruple check to see the cancellation fee because just in case if I'm emotionally not there, I can cancel. And he said, you're not going to cancel. One thing about my grief counselor that I appreciate about him so much is that he was so supportive and understanding, but he was not playing with me. He said, you're not going to do that. Your father wants you to live. Do you think your father would be happy to have you waste your life and not do anything the whole entire life? No. You have a right to be sad. Everybody has to go through a moment, but you need to go to this wedding. It's more important than you think it is. I said, okay. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't know. All I kept thinking about was me breaking down crying. And then it's like I ruined her moment. That's all I kept thinking about. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Oh my God. Like my anxiety was just on 10. But I'm so grateful because that was the first big event that I went to post grief. It took me months. I prepared months for that event mentally. Emotionally, I've never done so much work emotionally to prepare myself for that event. But I'm so happy that I went. It was a beautiful time. It was great to be with family. They were happy to see me. I was happy to see them. I was myself. I had my moments of just chilling, but It was such a wonderful time. It was such a wonderful time. So what happened after that was I felt good. It was good to see people in love. It was good to be around love. It was good to be around good energy. It was just it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. And during that moment, I was still going through my depressive moments, but I would say it wasn't as bad. What started to help me actually was I watched a video of Sweetie doing her morning routine, and then it was very soothing for me. So during my depressive moments, lifestyle videos, organizing, cleaning, how to be pretty, feminine, sexy. I wake up in the morning and I wash my face and I do my nails and my skincare routine. I was watching so many of those videos because I found that it was very soothing to me because I wanted to be that person again. Because I felt like I lost access to myself, I really wanted to get back. And even though I was down, I'm like, okay, how can I get back in a pace that's safe for me? And it was starting with my skincare. So I started watching a whole bunch of skincare videos, not even buying anything, just watching people wash their face because I wasn't washing my face. My skin, you know, when you're depressed, you don't take care of nothing. So your finances are a mess, but your skin is a mess, your emotions are a mess, you physically are a mess. My skin was horrific. I mean, beyond, right? So I started with my skincare and I started talking about skincare. And then it went into organizing my room and I repainted my room. And something else that I did was created a healing museum. And I call it that because I found that in the morning, I was extremely anxious. As soon as I opened my eyes, my mind did not give me a chance to even wake up. It was just straight thoughts, heavy, heavy, heavy thoughts. So, what I felt like I needed at the time was a positive image as soon as I woke up. So, what I did was I put different wall art with positive words all over my room. Like it was like a healing museum, literally. That's what I was calling it. So, whether I go to the bathroom, whether waking up and I turn to my left or I turn to my right, there was something positive there. And I needed to do that because it helped me. It helped me. So TJ Maxx and I were the best of friends. I saw a picture, a wall art picture of a woman with sunglasses on, lipstick on, drinking coffee with her earrings on. And I'm like, I need that. She reminded me of me, the Erica that I was. And she looked very ambitious in that picture. Very ambitious. I saw another wall art and it said, the the most work you will ever do will be within the four walls of your home. And that really spoke to me because I felt like, wow, that's true. All of my healing and my revelations and all of these things are happening in my house with myself, praying to God, making these decisions, getting ready in the morning. Wow. So I was attracted to it, so I bought it. So anything that my heart was attracted to, anything that my eyes were attracted to, I purchased it and I put it in my room. And then I started taking care of my skin. And then I started getting different body washes and soap and perfume and then I started putting my wigs back on. And then when people started wanted to hang out with me, I actually said yes. And then I started going out with people and enjoying myself and still acknowledging when I needed some space, right? Because I was still dealing with it, but I was like, "Oh my gosh." It's like there was one time where I sprayed perfume and I cried because I couldn't smell anything anymore. The depression took over me. I didn't see anything anymore. So one day I got ready and I bought a new fragrance and I took a shower. And for the first time, I was mindful in the shower. I enjoyed the smell of the soap. I enjoyed the body wash. I washed my hair. I felt good. The sun was beaming in. I air dried myself. I put a new body butter on. And I'm like, wow, this smells good. I sprayed perfume. I'm like, wow, this smells good. And that was the first time that I actually can acknowledge that my senses were working. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, maybe I'm breaking through. And I started crying. I cried for like 15 minutes because for so many months, I didn't smell anything, didn't see anything, didn't laugh, didn't do anything. And now I'm taking a shower and I smell it. I'm with people and I'm present. And everybody's so supportive beyond what I could say. I'm writing again in my journal. I hear the birds. I'm lighting a candle and I'm like, wow, wow. I could feel the breeze going through my body. Because one thing I will say about depression, you're not present. Your mind is not here. Your senses, I don't know what would happen with depression, but it's like turned off. I don't smell anything, you know? And now I can smell, I can see, I can hear, I can feel. I'm around people and it feels good. I'm still going to therapy. I'm still going to grief counseling. I'm still talking about my feelings and what's going on with me. And it was nice to feel again. I lost it. I lost access and I felt like I finally got the the main, like the fake password. You know when they say, "Okay, I'm going to give you a password, but you have to create your own," right? So I felt like I was given access. Hey, Erica, this is what life is like. Let's create. Now it's time for you to create. So now I'm feeling like I'm ready to take this canvas and do something with it. I acknowledge that I was depressed. I can say that now. I definitely was depressed. I went through my symptoms and I sat with it. And it was hard to sit with those symptoms because it was something that I did not want to connect with at all. I figured if I didn't accept it, it would just kind of like go away and I would get better. But what happened was it didn't go away for months. This was not something that was within me for a week or two or a month. And then I started to kind of shift and see the light and see all these other things. I didn't see that. I didn't see that. And because and what really hurt me too was during this time, right? My friends and family, they were going through some changes in their lives. And I just couldn't be there for them the way that I really wanted to be there. And that wasn't easy for me. I cried a lot because of that, because I wanted to listen and I wanted to call, but I just couldn't speak. I couldn't talk, you know? And I will say that making a decision to take small steps is how you start the process of your healing journey in terms of trying to get out of depression. I'm not a licensed therapist or anything like that. I do believe in therapy. I do believe in getting help. I do believe in checking with your insurance company and seeing what's available to you. There's so many resources now because mental health is in the forefront. Mental health used to be so like completely on the bottom when it comes to health. And now it's in the forefront. So wherever you are located, there are resources and many free resources as well. You'll be extremely surprised if you do your research. If you do have insurance, I would definitely start with seeing if your insurance company has a list of providers for you, talking to the providers. Maybe they can provide a sliding scale if the copay is too expensive. A lot of therapists will work with you. So there's so many resources for you, so many resources. I highly recommend that. So with talking to my therapist, speaking to friends and family, the biggest thing I will say is speaking. You have to talk. Although for a long time I wasn't talking to friends and family, I was talking to my therapist and my grief counselor consistently. So I would say speaking, saying how you feel, acknowledging that, yes, you're down right now, but it's not a permanent factor. keeping yourself around and surrounded by anything that's going to remotely help you change the narrative in your mind, because that's what happens. We create stories in our minds, and if we say it for a very long time, we're going to start believing it. I got to a place where I'm like, I want to live. I want to live. How can I start living? What can I do? Because the Erica that was there before my father passed away, she's not there. I don't know her anymore. So how can I get through this? And it was very small steps, and I wanted to put this episode out because it was so important to me, because I know a lot of people are struggling with depression right now and don't know it. And what I'll say to you is, number 1, the fact that you're listening to this episode is a wonderful step. Let's just start there. Congrats. Let's see if I can clap. I hope that's not too hard in your ears. But congratulations for even listening to this episode. Another thing I would say, speak, talk, get help. Another thing I would say is surround yourself. What you watch, what you do with something positive or funny, but don't escape for too long, because the problem is still going to be there. Find little steps to find yourself back. Create little steps, little steps. Maybe you can do a healing museum. Maybe that will work for you. Going to the park, going outside, going for a walk, deciding today I'm going to make my bed. That's it. When they say take it one day at a time, that's an understatement. I was taking it 1 minute at a time, 1 minute at a time. Okay. Literally 5 o'clock and 5:04 is two different settings for me. I don't know where I'm gonna be in the next 5 minutes, right? So taking small steps, they're huge steps actually, right? If you have not made your bed in months and you made your bed, that needs to be applauded. And then surround yourself with people who are going to applaud you for that. It's not small. If you took a shower today, congratulations. If you put perfume on today, congratulations. If you are doing better at work, you're more focused, congratulations. So take those steps. Go out with your friends and family. Take your time with that, but fight. Oh God, it was a fight, but it was worth it. The big events, huge. I don't know what it is, but I'm never going to forget my first, right? So the first person I hung out with post grief, the first wedding I went to, the first vacation I went to, all of those things. I'm never going to forget those. So please be mindful of that. Write about how you feel. Write about how you feel. It could even be a word, but write about how you feel. And just remember that you are still here. You are not you are not in a position to think about anything major than being present right now. So the more time you spend really focusing on healing yourself, and with healing yourself comes boundaries. I was very clear with a lot of my friends and family what's going to work for me and what's not going to work. When you disrespect those boundaries, I have to limit myself. And you know why? Because it took so much work for me to smile again. My mind is overwhelmed. When I am out, I want to have a good time. I don't want to be annoyed. I don't want to be frustrated. Or I don't want to do too much. Maybe I just want to go to dinner. I may not want to do everything else, right? But it's not fair, in my opinion, if I don't share that with you. So I would share with people what my limitations are, or I would just know what my limitations are. If I needed to leave, I would leave. If I needed to just take a break, I would take a break. And it's not personal. It's just I'm fighting to be happy. I'm fighting to not fall in another depressive state every day. I'm not going to allow anyone to put me in a position where I'm upset. I'm already upset, right? I'm already going through a lot. So setting your boundaries is very, very important. Very important. Just letting people know. Like I would literally tell my friends, "Hey guys, I might go into a corner. If I do, don't worry about me. I'm fine." You know why? Because maybe something triggered me. Maybe I saw a little girl with her dad, and maybe you didn't see it. Maybe I heard something my dad would have said. Maybe I don't know, right? So I just wanted to be respectful and let everybody know, like, I'm good. Because of course, your friends are gonna be concerned. Your family's gonna be concerned. I'm good, but I just might need some space, right? So I'm still able to go out, but I just might need some space. And your friends and family, they will respect your boundaries. And if they don't, um, I wouldn't take it too personal. There were a couple of instances where I felt like I was a little upset because I'm like, wait, what's going on? But I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I just, because I know it's me. I'm going through a lot of things emotionally and I'm trying to understand and place my emotions properly. I miss my father every day. Till this day, I will cry thinking about him. Transparent moment. Actually, this is a VP moment, which is vulnerability point. That's what I call it. This is a VP moment. When I was getting ready to come out with this episode, okay, I decided to come out on my father's birthday to give him a gift of me not giving up, right? Cool. And I felt very good about it. Great. I was working on the podcast and the website for hours, 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 hours. So tired. I went to the kitchen to get something to drink. And I said, "Daddy, your birthday's coming up." Oh my gosh. Broke down just from me saying that. I'm talking about really breaking down, not like a little tear where I need tissue, like on the floor, crying. After I cried, I gave myself 10 minutes. And you know what I did? I went back to record. I let that be the moment. I acknowledged my sadness. And I was sad. I was sad. And I will say, right, just because you're working towards, managing your depression doesn't mean you're not going to have depressive moments nor be sad. I was definitely sad. And I still have moments where I just need to be. You know what I mean? But I kept going. And I spoke to my grief counselor, and he said to me, "You have to move forward." And I hated that. Oh my God. I hated when he said that. It just made me feel like, so do you want me to forget about my dad? You know what I'm saying? He was like, no. I said, well, how do you know when you moved on? How do you know when you move forward? He said, when you can think about your father and it doesn't make you freeze. And that moment, when I broke down crying the way that I did, and I allowed my emotions to be, and I still got on the mic and recorded, was when I realized I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I'm taking care of my skin. I'm recording. I came back to the podcast. I bought a new dress. I'm buying perfume. I did my nails. My therapist like almost cried when she saw my nails was done because she was like, "Oh my God." Because, I can't have my nails looking crazy, you know? And I love my sparkles. And this is what people knew me as, right? And it felt good. And I was like, wow, I'm getting there. So I'm saying that because if you are dealing with this, please know that it is going to take work. You need to participate in your healing. This is not something that can be given to you. I can't give you healing. I can give you some strategies and suggestions, and I can give that to you, but it is going to require a lot of an emotional push. You need your emotional army to help push you. Lean into your spirituality. I believe in God. Lean into God. Lean into your family. Lean into your friends. Lean in. Let them know. And please acknowledge every step that you take, like Bobby Brown. Every little step I take, seriously. Every little step. Every little step. So, You will come out of this. This is not going to be your end all be all. Take very small steps. Talk, speak, pray, take a shower, go outside, look at some resources. We live in a day and age right now where there's access to so many things. There's not even an excuse for anything anymore. Look into your resources and think about how happy your loved one would be to see you pushing forward. My mission in my life is to make my parents proud. With all the sacrifices they've done for me, this is what I want to do. And I know that whenever I'm happy, my parents will be happy. You know, I know my father would be proud to see how we as a family are taking very small steps to move forward. And I know that for you, regardless of however your grief is, that every small step you take is going to count for something. Give yourself a fair chance. Give yourself a shot. Allow yourself to feel. Just because you're sad one day doesn't mean, oh my God, I'm falling into depression. Let yourself be sad. It's okay. It's okay. But you have to think about, what is the ammunition? What are the tools that's going to start you up? What is the tools that are going to start you up? What is your charger? What is your charger? So in my position, I would train people, and I used to say this all the time. What is your why? So I said to them, what happens when your phone dies? And they're like, you can't use it. I said, okay, but would you throw it away? He said, no. What would you do? Well, I would charge it. Okay. Can you use your phone when your phone is dead? No. Okay. If you put your phone on the charger and it gets to 2%, can you use the phone? Yes. Okay. What is your why? Your why is the charger. You are not dead. You are still here. So, what is going to charge you up? Let's start there. I don't care if it's buying Skittles. Let's get that. Because the emotional work is not a joke, but it's something that is so capable. And what's available to you right now, what is available to you right now, this exclusive offer that is available to you right now is trying again, failing and trying again, failing and trying again. That is available to you. Healing is available to you, but you have to participate in your healing. And I promise you, if you participate in your healing, you will start to see changes that will blow your mind. There was a time I never thought I was going to get out of depression. Never. Have you ever felt like that, when you felt like you just felt stuck? And, we have a tendency to do that. We have a tendency to do that. But I'm here to tell you that if you participate in your healing and you conquer your mind, you can conquer so much more physically if you focus on conquering all that you can mentally. And you can do it. I believe that you can, and you will do it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you so much for being present. Thank you so much for being here. Please share this episode with anybody who is going through grief that may need to hear this message, because going through grief, sometimes it makes you feel like you are really alone and nobody can understand how you feel. And, I wanted to do this episode and this series to highlight that there is opportunity for change. And as I'm recording this episode, I'm still going through the motions as well. I'm still getting excited for my accomplishments as well. And one of them is actually recording this episode. So I am proud of myself for recording this episode. I will proudly say that I am proud of myself, because this was so difficult for me. So difficult. It made me cry. It made me sad. I was resistant for weeks, days, just didn't want to do it. And I'm like, no, I need to put this out there because someone needs to hear that there is hope. and that you can and you will get there, and that how you're feeling is not weird, and that grief and depression goes hand in hand, and that you have every right to be low. Allow yourself to be low. I think people always push so much on getting high, get up, get up, get up. Be low, stay there. Allow yourself to feel, and then slowly get yourself back up so that when you do, it's a bit more efficient. It's the same thing as when the doctor tells you after surgery, don't do too much, put too much stress on your body. You're going to make the injury worse. When you take your time to heal, what happens? You get better, and you can go back to your regular life. It's the same thing with this. It's the same thing with this. So thank you for being present. Part 3 is next week. I'm really excited for part 3. We have so much to discuss. I'm happy that you're here. And I wanted to leave you with this quote. You are entirely up to you. You are entirely up to you. Anything that you want to do, your decisions, what you want, how you feel, is all up to you. The help that you get is all up to you. Charging your battery, your emotional battery, is all up to you. And even getting to 2% can give you access to productivity. And that's where we're going to start. And you can get out of this. And I believe that you can, and I know that you can. Thank you again for listening to the Save the Good Girl podcast. We will definitely talk more next week. You are entirely up to you. And I want to help you get there. I would love to hear your feedback on this episode or any other episodes that you have listened to. If anything that I said spoke to you, if it really helped you, if you have any feedback, if something or a line or a quote or anything, any feedback whatsoever, or if anything helped you, I would love to hear what you have to say. You can visit SAVETHEGOODGIRL.com. In the contact section, you can send me a message, or you can communicate with me on social media. The handle for everything is Save the Good Girl. The whole point of me doing this is for us to have conversations together. So your feedback is extremely important to me, and it lets me know the value of my work for you. So please share this with your friends. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know how you feel. At me on Instagram. I will repost you as you listen to this. And again, you are entirely up to you. But the beautiful thing is, the decisions are entirely up to you. But there is a beautiful lift from so many people that will help you get there. Have a wonderful week, and we are going to talk next week. I have so many wonderful things to share, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for making it to the end of this episode, and I'm proud of you for taking your steps. You are entirely up to you.